Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I'm going to do a fun page in my Large Ranger Delusions art journal, and I'm using this as my inspiration. I received a package of Happy Mail from Judith in South Australia, so thank you so much, Judith, for all the fun goodies. And this banner that says Believe was in the package, and it gave me an idea that I want to put this banner on the page, and I'm going to have the words, I believe in the world of the gnomes. So what I've done is I've sketched on 2 gnomes on my page, and I'm not going to do my background first. I'm going to do a very PC background, I think. So what I want to do is put these on first, and so I'm going to cut them out and apply them to the page, and then I'm going to ink and color in my gnomes and then play around with the background, and I'll show you what I do. But I just like to, when I receive Happy Mail, I like to pick something out of the Happy Mail and use it and show how I used it, just to be grateful and thankful for what I've received. So let's get started, and I'll make this fun gnome page. I'm going to ink my gnomes using these Tombow Mono drawing pens in a size 2 and a size 3. I like these because you can use anything water soluble over it, so acrylics, watercolors, anything, and these don't bleed. So I'm going to go ahead and ink in my 2 gnome drawings. I've inked my gnome with pen. This one has a dragonfly on his little hat and a little mouse peeking out from his beard. He's got his little shovel, and I'm going to put 3-dimensional flowers in the grass. This guy's peeking out from a little viney plant, and they can be colored with anything, so I'm probably going to color them with Neocolor 2, maybe some Arteza brush pens, some watercolors, whatever I feel like coloring them with. And next I need to erase my pencil lines, so I'm going to go ahead and erase all my pencil lines and just leave the inked image. Next I'm going to do a little bit of distressing around these pieces, and I like to use shoe polish and a soft brush for that. You can use anything you want, like distress inks and things, but I really love shoe polish. I like the look of it. So you just basically just tap your brush into the shoe polish and go around the edge, and it just makes everything look really antiqued. And I like the color of it too. So that's what I'm going to do to all these pieces, is just go around and do a little bit of shoe polish antiquing around the edges. I've laid out my banner, and now I'm going to just take my pencil and just put a little line in between so I know where I want my little banner line to be. And I'm going to use my PC 8K chisel Posca to make my line. I'm going to turn the book this way because I do better when I pull towards myself when I draw lines and things. But this will make a nice thick banner line. I love these chisel pens for that. And I'm going to take a wider Tombow Mono drawing pen and go into that little spot in the gutter. It's hard to get a paint pen in there, but I can go in with my little, you could go in with a brush and some paint just to get in that little section. There. That looks nicer where that comes in together. And normally, like I said, I do the background first, and then I would glue on things like this. But this page is just a little different the way I'm approaching it, so I'm going to go ahead and glue my little banner pieces into place. And for that, I'm just going to use some art glitter glue. To add to my title, I have other words that I'm going to say, and for the word gnomes at the bottom, I may use some of these basic gray cardstock stickers. I have lots of things left over from scrapbooking that I'd like to use up, and some things look really cool in your journal. Like these letters are textured. They almost look like almost burlap looking, so something like that I might use up instead of hand lettering this time. But I know that I want to do some clouds, and I want to do them out of book text. So what I'm going to do here is to just take this book text and tear it to make it look like clouds. Like that. So I'm going to do a couple of those that are going to put some of the wording in them and figure out where they're going to go, and then I'll come back and show you my next step. I've torn out some book text clouds, and I'm going to go ahead and apply them to the page with matte gel medium and a soft brush. This one up here is going to go behind the first letter of my banner. So what I'm going to do with that, I like the saying on the book text paper, so I'm going to just put it where I want it to go and then run my finger along this edge, and it'll show me where I need to cut the paper to put it behind. And I'll just make a cut with scissors, and then I can line it up like this. So that it looks like my little cloud is going behind the letter. And now I'm going to go ahead and apply them with matte gel medium. And I always like to put matte gel medium on the page, a nice thin layer. And on the back of the image I'm applying. So on this case, the book text. And then put it into place. And apply it with the brush over the top, and that'll make it nice and smooth. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and apply all those. I like the book text clouds, and they'll be shadowed and shaded later, but I added a piece up here too because that was just too empty and bare with the clouds. So I really like this, and when it dries I'm going to add my lettering to that. And instead of doing the background and putting on this decoration, and then I knew I was going to have these book text clouds, I didn't want to cover up background that I was going to do. So that's why I'm kind of doing it this backwards way. I'm laying it out in pieces, and I'll do the background later in little sections. So you can do your art journaling any way you want to do it. You could do a full background and then lay these pieces over it. I'm just kind of showing you my process for my thought process for putting together this particular page. I decided to go with these basic gray cardstock letters for the word gnomes. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into place right down here. So now on the clouds I believe in the secret world of the gnomes. I love it. It looks cute. Coming along, looking cute. And now I'm going to go ahead and color my gnomes, and I'll do those in a sped up version, so that if you want to watch me color them to learn how to color, you can watch and get some tips. And if you don't, then I'll put the link where it ends so that you can skip forward in the video. is starting to come to life. I've got my base layer of color down. I mostly used Arteza brush pens, Tombow dual brush pens, and Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 to lay down the first layer of base color. Now I'm going to go back in with colored pencil and do some shadowing and shading, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to their beards. But I won't show the colored pencil just because it's going to take a really long time, and for time's sake, I'm just going to show it when it's done. So let me go ahead and work on that, and I'll come back and show you what my gnomes look like. If you're looking for a set of colored pencils and you don't have any, these are great. This is the Unit Posca colored pencil set. I got it from dickblick.com. I'll check and see if Amazon has them as well. They come in a really beautiful case, but I've taken them out of the case. They lay down a really nice layer of color. They're soft, oil-based, and so they blend and lay down really nice color. They've also got a nice one in here that makes some lovely Caucasian skin tone, and then a yellow ochre that you can do highlights and things in there. A white. The white is great for coming back in and doing things like adding a little cast shadow on top of the cheek. Look at how nicely that white lays down and blends, and look at, see how that just highlighted his cheek, going right over my pencil and my previous pen work. And you can go in and make a nice little highlight the top of the nose to give it dimension. Highlight the forehead a little bit, and look at great white. So I really enjoy that set of pencils. They're not too terribly overpriced, and they've got such a nice variety of colors that even with 36, and if you blend and things, you know, blend your colors, you'll end up with some really good colors, and they're just creamy and smooth. I've got other pencils that are more expensive. I've got Caran d'Ache Luminance and a few Holbeins, and I always go back to these Posca pencils. I really, really like them. So that's just a recommendation to see if you can find those Posca pencils, and going back in over those colors like water-soluble brush colors. I'm using a light hand, and then you can make some texture. So I'm making this hat look like it's textured material by going different directions with my pencil and just being a little sketchy. See how then it looks like, see if that'll focus in, it looks like it's more of a material than smooth. So that's the kind of things I like to add with the colored pencils, is going back in and add shadowing, and then going back in and add texture. So just play around with yours, and the more you practice and the more you play around with it, the more you'll enjoy it. And colored pencils are just tons of fun. They're one of my favorite things. Look at that hat. See, it just looks better and looks more shadowed and realistic because I've added in some pencil work. Make some lines to make that look like more of a band around his head. And there we go. So I'm going to just keep playing around with my pencils, and then I'll show you when I'm done. And then I have a great idea for their beards. And here is the cute little mouse. I need to do some shading on him, but he's just really cute peeking out of his beard. So it's turning out, it's lots of fun. For the beards, I'm taking a really super light gray. This is the N89 in the Tombow. It's just a super light gray, and I'm coming in here and like underneath his little lip line and underneath his nose, I'm just putting a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of gray. I don't want him to look like he's gray, but I want to give it the appearance that it really is hair. And I want his beard to look like white hair. So I'm coming in here and doing some brush strokes in gray. And a couple in his eyebrows. And when you look closer, see how that makes it look just more like a white beard. So I'm going to do the same with this dude over here. This little gnome dude. Put a shadow under his mustache because his mustache would be casting a little shadow. And it'd be blending into his beard. Especially around where the little mouse is peeking out of his beard. I want to do a little shadow in there. And some of the lines I'm making a little bit swirly so that it gives some movement. So it's not just flat. His beard has movement to it like that. So that's some shadowing there. Next I want to add some white flock. You might not know what flock is. It's this real fine textured little bits of fibers, and they call it flock. And then I'm going to use my tidy tray, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue because it's got a nice fine tip. And I'm going to come in here and add some glue, and I'm going to kind of brush it in to give it some shape. I'm not going to cover the whole thing in it. I'm just going to add some here and there just to really make this beard really pop and look realistic. I just love those kind of touches on my art journal. So I'm just taking my tip and I'm almost drawing with it, and I'm drawing little hair strokes. I'm going to put some on his mustache and all through his little beard and around where that mouse is peeking out for sure, because that would look great, like it's really coming out of the hair of his beard. And some on his eyebrows, because we want those eyebrows nice and fuzzy. Okay, and then I'm going to sprinkle on the flock. Nice and thick. And I just want to give it a very, very light pat. So you want to pat it down really lightly. You don't want to push too hard. You don't want to smush your glue lines, but pat it down a little bit. And then put it over your little tidy tray. These things are great. And tap it until it comes off. And look at that beautiful beard. Oh my gosh, it is so super cool. Look at his eyebrows. They're all fuzzy. Look at, he's all fuzzy. Oh, I love it. So cute. And then you have this to pour and use on your next one. So if I come over here and do the same thing with my glue, make my drawn on glue lines where I want that flock to be. And I'm not covering the gray spots that I shadowed because I want that to stay gray. If you put flock over it, you won't see those. We're going to do it right here where I put a little bit of hair, and then you can tap it right out of your tidy tray to apply it back over onto the second one. Make sure it all gets covered in flock. Do a little pat, 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 just a little. And gosh, it's so cute. Look at that cute fuzzy beard. Love it. Super cute gnome. Super, super, super cute. Love it. The next thing I'm going to do is to start working on my background, and what I'm going to do is take my pencil and just section out my background in some shapes so I can fill them in with paints and Zentangle patterns and anything I feel like, but I'm going to just lay it out first with shapes. So I'm just drawing some lines to section it off and create some shapes to start coloring in and making some marks and doing a background. Here are the lines that I've drawn. See if you can see those pencil lines. It's creating just some sections, and I'm going to just now take a paintbrush and some acrylic paint and start adding some bright colors, pops of colors behind my gnomes. I'm choosing some of my colors to put in my spots in the background. I decided to use my color wheel. Since this is all greens, I wanted to go with something that complemented the greens. So across from it, you've got reds and oranges. In those families, I wanted something complementary behind it so that it'll make it pop. So that's what I'm going to do, is put orange in that spot. And here's a tip. Be careful not to lay your TV remote in your palette of paint while you're working. I painted my sections with acrylic paint, and now what I'm going to do is use Posca paint pens and gel pens to go in and doodle and mark make and fill each section with something interesting behind it. So I wanted to leave these white sections because they're going to look good black and white, and then the rest is going to be with colors on top and patterns and textures and things, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. The thing I'm going to do is take this Posca pen that is a PC7, so it's bullet tipped and it's got a nice big fat bullet tip, and I'm going to go around the edges of the sections to create like a black border that I'll then fill in. I'll show you what I mean. So I went around with that dot pen and I made a black line to section off all the color sections, and now I can take my fine black pen and go up to the edges to like fix little spots where the wide tip wouldn't go, and I'm gonna do some Zentangling and some doodling and show you what it looks like next. Here's how it's coming out with my Zentangle patterns in the black and white sections, and this one I added a little bit of color to, and it's starting to come together. Now I'm going to take black and go around all my little pennants so that they stand out a little bit more. I'm going to go around in black around the word gnome because you can't really see that. I'm going to go black around my gnomes so they pop a little bit, and just play around with it, and then I have an idea for the dragonflies. Now I'm going to take a black Stabilo pencil and I'm going to go around the gnomes with Stabilo. And even though they're not raised images, they're flat, I'm still going to just go right up to the edge and then draw with some Stabilo, and you can blend it out with your finger or you can use a water brush. But I want to make kind of a black cast shadow all around the gnomes because it'll make them stand out a little bit better. See how that is? And then I'm also going to go around my little paper clouds here. So underneath where each paper cloud is, I'm going to do a cast shadow to make them stand out a little bit. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So when you take your Stabilo pencil and you go like underneath these shoes, like this, and up underneath the edge of the shovel, and then you take a water brush and you just pull at the edges a little bit and blend it out. It gets nice and dark at the edge and then fades out and looks like a cast shadow. So see how that looks like a shadow underneath his shoes. Next I'm going to take a white Neocolor 2 and I'm going on the top of the clouds. And I'm going to just color in some of this Neocolor to make it show the difference between the top and the bottom of the clouds. The bottom is shadowed with black and the top is going to be colored in white. And then that kind of just makes that little cloud piece pop so that you can read the saying easy. Now to make these letters down here, they're a little bit dull, pop a little bit, I'm going to use my Neocolors for that and just go over them on some spots just to put some little highlights of color. That's what Neocolors are best for. And you can blend it with your finger. And see how that just makes that stand out a little bit more, because they're just a little bit too dull. I need something bright in here, like some bright orange. Maybe some yellow. Yeah, the yellow worked really well. Let's put a little bit of yellow on this too. Okay, so now those letters look a little bit better. They're a little brighter. Stand out a little bit more. You can still see the cool pattern on the chipboard letters, but they just stand out a little bit more. They're a little brighter. Looks good. So now what I have an idea for is for my dragonfly. Now I want to add some fun to these dragonfly wings. So what I'm going to do is to take a piece of vellum. Vellum is see-through and but this is a nice sturdy piece. And I'm going to put it over my wings. And with the pencil, I'm just going to trace the shape of the wings that I drew. And then I'm going to move it to a different spot and trace the next wing, just to make sure I get them all, but I have them separate. Okay, so there's my wings traced, the 4 little wings, and now I'm going to cut them out. Here are my 4 little wings, and now I'm going to take a soft eraser and erase the pencil lines. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to take a little art glitter glue and put it right here in the middle of the body where the wings would come out. And I'm going to take some tweezers and the smallest wing that would be underneath. I want to do the underneath one first, and I'm just going to place it over that. And the end of it will be right into the glue. And then the same with the next one. So I'm overlapping them over each other. And then the one that goes behind up here. So I'm just following along with the shape of which one to put where. And then the last one would be the one that would go right on top. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry. Now I'm going to take some glitter Nuvo drops, and I'm using kind of a glittery yellow, and right where those attach to the body I'm just going to put some glitter. It'll just hold them in place a little bit better, but it's also going to make that dragonfly look a little dimensional. I think I might even put a little bit down the body, just like that. Oh, cute. Oh my gosh, this is the cutest dragonfly ever. So now what I have is a sparkly dragonfly, and it has see-through wings, so it looks real. And you can see the blue and the pattern underneath that I drew onto the wings. You can see that, so it looks really, really cool. Just something fun and different. This was such a fun layout to make. I really had a good time. I loved using the Believe banner, which looked like it probably was meant to be for believing in Santa because it's got snowflakes. It's a Christmas thing, but it doesn't look Christmassy on this page, so it was just a different way of using it. And that's what I did with my Happy Mail from Judith. So again, thank you, Judith. Appreciate the Happy Mail and all the fun stuff that you sent to me. Wanted to show you what I did with something out of the Happy Mail parcels, so thank you. So anyway, it says, I believe in the secret world of the gnomes. And there's my cute little gnomes with their furry little beards and mustaches and eyebrows. This one peeking out from some plants. I love it. It turned out so cute. I like doing the black and white Zentangle sections. That was really fun to do, to make something interesting behind that wasn't in color because the rest was in color. So it's really fun. I like the book text clouds. Just cute, fun. Hope you enjoyed it and that you had fun watching, and maybe you're having fun in your art journal today. And of course, I love the dragonfly and the see-through wings. So that is really a fun element on it. So maybe this gave you some new ideas, something to play with, something to try on one of your pages. Have fun art journaling. Art soothes the heart.